Mia had never been one to sit still for long. Even on the quietest days at the small colony on Aurora Station, her eyes always roamed, looking for something interesting to fill her hours. Today was supposed to be peaceful. The twin suns were slowly setting, painting the metal walls of the colony in warm golden and orange hues, and the air smelled faintly of baked bread from the mess hall. Mia held her prize carefully, the last cookie she had saved all week. She had been thinking about it for days, imagining the perfect moment to finally eat it while the twin suns melted into the horizon. She walked to the edge of the observation deck, a small platform that overlooked the jagged mountains of Aurora Station's rocky moon. The silence was comforting, the kind of quiet that let her thoughts wander. She held her cookie in her small hands and was about to take a bite when a sudden rustling noise caught her attention. Mia froze. Her eyes scanned the nearby shadows, and at first she thought it might be one of the station's small maintenance robots. But what she saw made her heart skip. It was an alien. At first glance, it looked almost fragile. Its skin shimmered like liquid glass, reflecting the soft sunlight in ripples of blues and purples. It had long, thin limbs and hands that ended in delicate, almost translucent fingers. Its eyes were enormous and intelligent, glimmering with colors Mia couldn't name. And most surprisingly, it looked hungry and scared. The colonists had strict rules about outsiders, especially aliens. Aurora Station was far from Earth, and not everyone had had contact with another species. Some colonists would have run, others would have raised an alarm, but Mia simply stared. She felt something she had never felt before: sympathy. The alien was not threatening. It was weak, trembling, and clearly in need. Her cookie suddenly seemed smaller in her hands. She looked at it, then back at the alien. For a long moment she hesitated, thinking about how she had saved it all week. But then, without a second thought, she broke the cookie in half and stepped closer. "Here," she said softly, holding out the piece of cookie. You can have this." The alien tilted its head, its eyes wide and luminous. It hesitated, as if unsure whether to trust her. Then slowly it reached out. Its fingers brushed hers as it took the cookie. The sound it made was unlike anything Mia had ever heard, a soft, musical trill that seemed to vibrate in the air around them. She understood it as clearly as if it had said the words. "Thank you," Mia smiled. "You're welcome," she replied. From the observation deck, a few colonists had been watching. Some whispered in surprise. Others frowned, muttering about how dangerous it was to trust aliens. But Mia didn't care. She was too focused on the way the alien's eyes softened, how it seemed to breathe easier now that it had something to eat. The alien, who she later learned was named Lumen, didn't just eat the cookie. It carefully held it, almost reverently, as if this small gesture had changed everything. Mia noticed a subtle glow in its skin as it ate, colors flowing across its body in patterns she didn't understand. "You're very small," she said, laughing quietly. "But I think you're special." Lumen paused and looked at her, tilting its head in curiosity. Then it made a series of musical notes, sounds that felt like language but had no words she recognized. Somehow, Mia understood. It was trying to communicate, to share its story. Mia listened. She didn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. It had traveled far, lost its home, and was hungry and afraid. She felt a pang in her chest. She had never realized how many worlds there were beyond Aurora Station, or how many creatures might be suffering out there. She took a seat on the edge of the platform and gestured for Lumen to sit beside her. It hesitated at first, then slowly lowered itself to the cold metal floor. Its movements were cautious, elegant, almost like it was afraid of breaking itself. Mia watched it, fascinated. "You must be so far from home," she whispered. "I wish I could help." Lumen made a soft sound, one that Mia felt in her chest rather than heard with her ears. It was not sadness, but a kind of quiet longing. Then it did something unexpected. It reached out and touched her hand gently, brushing the cookie crumbs from her palm. Mia flinched slightly, surprised by the intimacy, but then smiled. She felt a connection forming, something deep and unspoken. Over the next hour, Mia and Lumen shared the platform in silence and small gestures. Mia offered water, showed the alien around the observation deck, and laughed at the way it mimicked her movements. The other colonists slowly gathered nearby, watching from a distance. Some were curious, others still skeptical. But everyone could see one undeniable truth. Something remarkable was happening. Lumen eventually led Mia to a small console that it had been examining. It pressed its translucent fingers against the buttons, and a holographic projection sprang to life, showing a planet she had never seen. Mountains twisted into jagged shapes, seas shimmered in impossible colors, and in the sky above, two suns burned brightly. "That's your home?" Mia asked. Lumen nodded. Its colors shifted, deep blues and soft purples moving like a ripple across its skin. Mia felt a shiver run down her spine. She had never realized just how vast the universe was or how many lives it held. "You're not safe there anymore," Mia said gently, understanding from Lumen's gestures and sounds. I wish I could do something." And that was when the scientists finally approached. They were cautious, professional, but their eyes widened in astonishment. Lumen was clearly intelligent. It could communicate, it could understand, and most importantly, it seemed to trust a human. One of the scientists, Dr. Harlan, stepped forward. "This is incredible," he said. "We've never encountered a species like this. It's peaceful, it's intelligent, it could change everything." Mia felt proud. Her small act, sharing a cookie, had done more than satisfy a hungry alien. It had opened the door to something larger than she could imagine. The scientists began to ask questions, and Lumen responded as best it could. Mia translated where she could, using simple gestures and words. It was not perfect, but a pattern began to emerge. Lumen's people were scattered, their planets ravaged by war. But Lumen had survived, and now it had found humans and creatures that, as it had quickly learned, could act with empathy even when it seemed foolish. As the twin suns set completely, casting long shadows across the colony, Mia realized something profound. Humanity might be small compared to the galaxy, but it had something others didn't: kindness. Even a single act, a cookie shared with no expectation of reward, could ripple outward, creating connections across the stars. Mia stayed with Lumen long into the night. She showed it how to walk safely along the colony's platforms, laughed as it clumsily tried to imitate her, and listened to its musical language as best she could. Somewhere deep inside, she felt a spark of hope, not just for Lumen, but for all humans. Maybe, just maybe, kindness could change the galaxy forever. The next morning, Mia woke to find Lumen still there, hovering near the observation deck. Its colors shimmered brighter than before, almost as if it had slept well, energized by something as simple as companionship. Mia smiled and held out the other half of the cookie she had saved in her pocket. Lumen accepted it with a soft trill, a sound Mia had learned to understand as pure joy. Word began to spread across the colony. People whispered about the alien and the girl who had fed it without fear. Slowly, curiosity replaced caution. The colonists began to see that Lumen was not a threat, but a chance to learn, to grow, and maybe to reach out to the stars in a way no one had before. Days turned into weeks. Mia and Lumen explored the colony together. Scientists took careful notes, studying Lumen's reactions and learning its language. Every moment, Mia's simple act of sharing a cookie proved more powerful than anyone could have imagined. The galaxy was vast, but humans had a gift that could bridge worlds: empathy. And so, under the twin suns of Aurora Station, Mia made a promise to herself and to Lumen. She would do whatever she could to help, to teach, and to show that humanity's kindness was not weak, but stronger than any weapon in the universe. Mia woke early, the soft light of Aurora Station spilling through the observation deck. Lumen was already there, hovering gently near the rail, its skin shimmering in delicate blues and purples. The alien tilted its head as if to greet her, and Mia smiled, holding out the small breakfast she had saved, a piece of warm bread from the mess hall. Lumen accepted it with the same careful grace as before, and for a moment Mia felt as if the world had narrowed to just the two of them. But the colony had begun to change. News of Mia's kindness had spread fast. Scientists and engineers who once ignored her curious explorations were now coming to see her. Lumen's intelligence fascinated them. It could solve complex problems without guidance, and it seemed to understand human emotions in ways that amazed even the most experienced researchers. One morning, Dr. Harlan approached Mia. "We've been analyzing Lumen's signals," he said, pointing to a holographic screen filled with shifting symbols and colors. "It's not just intelligent. Its species has a form of energy manipulation we've never seen. With guidance, we could learn so much. But we need someone who Lumen trusts. That's you, Mia." Mia felt a rush of excitement and fear. She had never thought she could play such a role. She was just a girl who shared a cookie, but she also felt something stronger, a sense of purpose. She nodded. "I'll help," she said, determination in her voice. Over the next few weeks, Mia spent every day with Lumen. They explored the colony together, tested new machines, and practiced communication. Mia learned to understand Lumen's musical tones, the way its colors shifted, and even the subtle gestures of its hands. In return, Lumen taught her about its home planet, a place of towering crystal forests, floating rivers of light, and skies painted with colors she had never imagined. But not everything was peaceful. Other alien species had heard about Lumen and humans' unexpected kindness. Some were curious and friendly, but others were suspicious. Rumors spread through the galaxy of humans being different, but no one could decide if that difference was dangerous or remarkable. Then came the warning. A fleet of ships from a distant system, controlled by a powerful warlord named Zorath, entered the sector. Zorath had built his reputation on fear and conquest. His ships were armed with weapons capable of destroying entire colonies. When the Council of Nearby Systems debated what to do, fear dominated the conversation. Some suggested evacuating Aurora Station. Others wanted to prepare for battle. Mia, however, had another idea. She spoke to Dr. Harlan and the council members. "Zorath won't expect humans to act differently," she said. "We don't have his weapons, but we do have something stronger: kindness. We can show him we aren't his enemies." The council laughed at first. "Kindness against a warlord, that's foolish," one member said. But Mia's eyes were steady. She was not afraid. She had seen the effect of a single cookie on Lumen. Maybe, just maybe, small gestures could reach even the hardest hearts. With the council's reluctant agreement, Mia and a small team of humans were sent to meet Zorath. Lumen accompanied them, hovering quietly, its presence both calming and strange to the alien warlord's eyes. When they approached the fleet, Zorath expected defiance or fear. What he found was a group of humans who smiled, offered food, and spoke words of peace. At first, Zorath was confused. He had never seen this before. He had trained his life to conquer and destroy, yet here were creatures that offered him friendship instead of battle. Mia stepped forward, holding out a small piece of bread, the same way she had shared a cookie with Lumen weeks ago. "Try it," she said simply. "It's yours, no tricks, no conditions." For a moment the warlord stared. Then, cautiously, he accepted the bread. Something in his eyes shifted. It wasn't immediate, but he blinked, lowered his weapon, and listened to what Mia had to say. She spoke of trust, empathy, and the possibility of working together instead of fighting. She told him how humans and Lumen had formed a bond that brought knowledge, hope, and understanding to Aurora Station. Days passed. Slowly, Zorath's fleet began to lower their defenses. Other species watched from a distance, amazed at the sight of a warlord reconsidering his actions. Humans continued to show small gestures, offering supplies, helping injured crew members, and explaining how collaboration could benefit everyone. Lumen assisted, using its abilities to create small displays of energy and light that fascinated and calmed observers. Eventually, Zareth made a choice no one expected. He called off his attack, agreeing to negotiations with the Council. Peace, fragile but real, settled across the sector. Mia and her team returned to Aurora Station as heroes, not because of weapons or victory, but because of a simple act that had multiplied into something far greater than anyone could have imagined. Mia's role did not end there. Word spread through the galaxy of humans who acted with kindness, even in the face of danger. Entire civilizations reached out, seeking contact with humans, curious about the species that had changed a warlord's mind without firing a single shot. Scientists, leaders, and ordinary people marveled at the effects of empathy in action. Lumen remained Mia's companion, hovering nearby as they explored new planets and civilizations together. Through it, Mia learned more about alien cultures, histories, and struggles. And she shared what she had learned with others, teaching that empathy, understanding, and small acts of generosity could be more powerful than any weapon or fleet of ships. One quiet evening, after a long day of meetings and travel, Mia and Lumen returned to Aurora Station's observation deck. The twin suns were setting, casting golden and orange light across the colony. Mia reached into her pocket and pulled out a small cookie she had baked that morning. She handed it to Lumen with a smile. Lumen accepted it, shimmering brightly, and made the same soft trill of gratitude that Mia had learned to understand. She laughed quietly. It seemed impossible that a single cookie could have started all of this, but here they were, peace in the sector, allies across the stars, and humans known as a species that could inspire hope. Mia realized the truth she had learned from the beginning. Kindness was never small. It could ripple outward in ways no one could predict, touching hearts, changing decisions, and even reshaping the galaxy. The next morning, the council held a ceremony to honor the humans who had acted as ambassadors of peace. Mia stood quietly, not seeking attention but feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. She looked at Lumen, who floated beside her, and for a moment the chaos of the galaxy felt far away. "Do you know what this means?" she asked softly, speaking to her alien friend. Lumen tilted its head, eyes glimmering. Mia smiled. "It means we've shown the galaxy what humans can do, not with power or weapons but with heart." The ceremony ended, but the work continued. Humans traveled to other planets, building friendships, learning cultures, and spreading the simple but profound message that empathy could create connections stronger than fear or war. Mia and Lumen became symbols of this change, proof that even the smallest act of generosity could ignite a chain of events that no one could have imagined. Years later, Mia would look back on that first evening, the moment she had shared her cookie with a trembling alien. It seemed so small then, almost ordinary, but it had started a journey that transformed the galaxy. She understood now that greatness did not always come from strength or skill. Sometimes, it came from the courage to show kindness when it mattered most. As the twin suns set once more, Mia reached for another small treat and offered it to Lumen. The alien accepted it, eyes shining brighter than ever, and Mia laughed. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknown worlds. But she had learned the most important lesson. Even the smallest act of humanity could ripple across the stars, leaving hope and kindness in its wake. And with that simple truth, Mia and Lumen watched the suns dip below the horizon, ready to continue their journey, knowing that together they could shape a brighter future for the entire galaxy.